Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last time was a saunter through Gen 2 as I sought to see if I could beat Pokemon Crystal with just a single Snubbull. Today though, we kick it up a notch as we head to Gen 5 and see if I can beat Pokemon Black with just a single Cranidos. Cranidos then, and it should be immediately obvious what our strengths are. We're a first form Pokemon with a base stat total of 350. A whopping 125 points of which are in our attack, so we're going to hit like a wrecking ball. Of course, all in the nature of balance, our defence and special stats are pretty bad. Speed and HP aren't terrible though, so this could be interesting. We are mono rock type, so we are weak to ground, fighting, steel, water and grass. We don't have any immunities, but we resist normal, flying, poison and fire. We do get a few intriguing moves via level up. Starting with Headbutt is nice, it's a move with great power. Moves like Assurance and Zen Headbutt give us type coverage, and although we probably won't use Head Smash, it's a nice option to have. I'm not too bothered about the recoil, it's the accuracy that puts me off. Even something like Chip Away could be useful somewhere. Maybe. I wonder if Focus Energy will be useful early on. We do actually get quite a good TM pool. I mean, some of them aren't going to be too useful due to our low special attack, but some of the best ones here could be Earthquake, Dig, Return, Smackdown, Rock Tomb, Rock Slide, there's Thief, Bulldoze, Rock Polish, Rock Smash, so I mean, there is plenty of moves that can take advantage of our great physical attack. This run is one of mine. I've wanted to use Cranidos for ages. Originally, I was going to do it in a Gen 4 run, but I thought Gen 5 made a lot more of a fun idea. Don't forget, I like using Pokemon outside of their native region. Any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to Twitter or Discord. Thanks for watching folks, the rules are on the screen throughout, and if you do enjoy what you see then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Let's do this. I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer and I replace Tepig with Cranidos so that I can do the whole run with it. This will give Cheren and Bianca, Oshawott and Snivy, so that makes them both infinitely harder to fight. I mean, I know Emboar is fighting type, but I stand by my decision. It takes a bit of time before we have our first battle with Bianca. She's ended up with Snivy and that's what she uses. We are slower and get hit with a few tackles and a Leer over the course of the fight, and although we hit hard with Headbutt, it is a case of we are still able to free shot the grass starter, and that gives us a win. And in the second of many rival battles in this game, we have a fight with Cheren immediately afterwards, and he's going to have the same disadvantage as Bianca, in that he doesn't really have great moves against us at this point. We face him and his Oshawott, we strike a Headbutt and crit for a one-shot. So, there was that. Build-up was more of a climax than the fight. In Professor Juniper's lab, I nicknamed my Cranidos, choosing to go with the name Headbanger. It seems a bit on the nose, but that is quite literally what it does. And there's just enough characters to go with that nickname as well that I didn't run out. It could have been Headbanger if Feraligatr is anything to go by. I didn't take ages thinking of this nickname, so I'm happy about that. Headbanger has the Mold Breaker ability, which I already know from previous battles, so going into our status screen, this is not a surprise. Opponent abilities are not going to be an issue. Just for an example of how this works, if something has Levitate as an ability, it means we are going to be able to hit it with ground moves. There's also quite a fun thing about Mold Breaker in this game that I discovered last time I used a Pokemon with Mold Breaker, and it's quite fun in Gen 5, but I'll explain what that is a bit later on, probably. We also have the relaxed nature, so more defence and less speed. I'm not entirely fussed about that nature, but it'll do. As we've said by this point, I've done nearly 150 of these challenges by this point. I don't like resetting for natures, so yeah. I'm off to do some training now. I mean, we have 3 more rival fights coming up before the first gym. That's actually got to be a record for this series. 5 rival battles before gym number 1. I mean, I know there's a few games where you can do 2 rival battles before the first gym. Kanto, for instance, and even the follow-up to this game in Black and White 2. You do fight the rival twice before the first gym, and then you don't fight him again until after the 5th gym, so Go figure. I think that's about it, unless I'm misremembering anything in Gen 7. Actually, there may be 2 fights with Nimona before you get to the first major city in Scarlet and Violet, Messagofa, or however you pronounce it. It's been so long since I played that game. Anyway, I want to get some attack EVs, so I'm murdering the local Lillipup and Patrat population. There's an end fight in the next town after we've watched Getsis do his speech, and well, he isn't too bad since he only uses a Purloin. We are actually at a lower level for this fight, and we are slower too. I best get used to that in this run. Purloin can't really hurt us with scratches though, and even with one of them being a crit, we don't take much damage and 2 shots with headbutt. There is a Bianca fight after that, and she's doubled up on her team now, having 2 Pokemon and beginning with Lillipup, who we immediately one-shot with headbutt, so that's not too bad. Snivy is second. We do get hit with a Vine Whip, but it does less than half our health, and we can 2-shot that with headbutt. That could have gone a lot worse, that fight, but I'm not looking forward to future ones. In the last bit of this mini rival run, we've got a battle with Sharon in the trainer's school in Striaton City, and like Bianca, he has added another member to his team. Funny that Sharon gets a cat and Bianca gets a dog. Sharon begins with Oshawott and we swing a headbutt at it. It survives and lands Water Gun for over half our health. That's pretty worrying. Another headbutt takes it down to put us into battle with Purloin. It hits Scratch for meagre damage before we strike a single headbutt to take it down. I make a try on the first gym next. We are going to be facing the water type specialist, Cress, and he begins with that well-known water type of Lillipup. We face too many of that line in the opening bits of the game. I begin with Focus Energy while we then get hit with Bite. There must be a speed type as Lillipup goes to work up next turn and then survives Headbutt. It then crits us with Bite to leave us weak as we take it down with another Headbutt. Pamport goes to work up, we crit a Headbutt but it narrowly survives. Cress heals, and although we land another Headbutt, it takes us out with Water Gun. In all fairness, I doubt we'd have survived a +1 Water Gun from a Pokemon 2 levels higher than us, with our special defense stats being what they are. So, I went in under-leveled on that gym, but I'm training for a bit now, just to get some more levels and raise our stats. I don't know if it's a Gen 5 experience system or not, but grinding feels slower than normal at this point. I eventually get bored of grinding and head back in to rematch Cress with only 1 extra level. Once again, he begins with Lillipup, and once again, we begin with Focus Energy. Lillipup uses Work Up, and when we get the chance to attack again, we strike a crit headbutt to one-shot it and put us into the battle with Pampor. It goes to Work Up, and we do about 2/3 of its health in damage with headbutt. It then gets greedy and uses Work Up again when a Water Gun might have ended us, meaning we can take it out with headbutt for a win and the trio badge. Let's talk about what's upcoming as we battle through the Dream Yard. Well, there will be a Cheron fight shortly, and that could be interesting. There's also another end fight before the second gym, and that might be tricky since I believe he has both a fighting and a water type in that battle, but maybe we'll be fine. The normal gym is usually brutal, and I have no reason to believe it won't be here either. There's so many times I've done that gym and only a minor amount of luck has saved me. Onto that Cheron battle then, and he hasn't changed his team other than levels. He begins with Oshawott, who comes out and its first stat is to survive a headbutt. Now I would be worried about a water move coming back our way, but we flinch it with the headbutt and then finish it off on the next turn. Purloin is second, it comes in and lands a 2-hit Fury Swipes before we drop it with a single headbutt for victory. I'm in Nakreen City and we have the end fight before we can go into the gym. There'll probably be a lot of fights before I go into this gym, such as the amount of levels I'll need. He begins with P-Dove and we immediately strike it out with headbutt. Timpole also goes down to a headbutt before Timber is last. It does survive headbutt but flinches and goes down to a second attack, giving us the win. I finish training versus everyone in the area around and then go after Lenora. Historically, this is one of the hardest battles in the game in a single Pokemon run. I'm at level 23 and we lose a few attempts, one due to being put to sleep and dismantled by Watchog, and one to simply being out-damaged after 2 defense drops. I think it can be done at this level though, and the very next effort it goes very similar. She begins with Herdia, and of course that means we are intimidated right at the very start of the fight. We go for a focus energy before being hit with Leah. We land 2 rock smashes to take out Herdia, though we do get clipped with takedown. When it comes to Watchog, we look out as it misses Hypnosis and we crit a rock smash to bring it down and give us the win. Okay then, so we're moving on into the next area. We have Castelia City coming up after the Pinwheel Forest, and there will be the Bug Gym. I can see Levani being quite tricky in that battle since it will have stab grass moves. About the only sliver of hope I have is that it will be physical grass moves and not special, but it is a slim sliver. Even when we get past that, there will be dual rival fights with Bianca and Cheran, but hey, the Cheran fight is going to be slightly more pleasant than normal. At least we don't have to worry about being battling in the sandstorm. Time for the Bug Gym then, and you know what would make this easier? A rock move. You know what we don't have? Also, a rock move. We make a first try at level 30 and I'd like to say it goes well, but the truth is I make a lot of attempts and they really don't go great. Levani is more than capable of messing us up with Razor Leaf. If we haven't lost defence to Whirlipede or we get crit, then we can survive one, but we are slower, so that's immediately a problem. I come to the conclusion that this isn't likely to happen at this level and retreat gracefully. I go off and train, and this is a slow process. But hey, on the plus side, and it is more a moral victory than anything else, I did encounter and catch a random full odds shiny Sandile. I'm thinking I need to do another Sandile run at some point, since the last one was interesting and also quite a long time ago. I'm thinking in Oras actually. I have plotted out most of the challenges for the year ahead, but I haven't figured out an Oras one yet, and I try to do at least one a year. I hope a point comes when we can overcome Berg, since I don't fancy much more grinding like this. At level 32, I head back to go and fight him, wondering if those extra few levels have made much of a difference. We hit Whirlipede with a headbutt and get the flinch, so we don't have to worry about being hit with Screech, which pretty handy. Berg heals and we use Assurance twice to take the Whirlipede down for the count. This time we are faster than Levani and hit a headbutt for massive damage, but it counters with String Shot and Razor Leaf in quick order, doing just over half our health in damage, but we strike it down with another headbutt. Dwebble at the end is at least a 2-shot with Rock Smash, probably the most appropriate battle use of that move ever. We do get hit with 2 smackdowns, but not an issue. Bianca is next, and I'm actually not too worried, believe it or not. I think there are going to come points where she does get tricky, but this shouldn't be one of them. She begins with Herdia, and we are immediately intimidated, but we still one-shot with Rock Smash. Servine does survive Headbutt, yet we get the flinch and take it down with a second attack without getting touched. Pampor is a one-shot with Headbutt, and at the very end, we take Muna out with Assurance. I didn't even heal ahead of the Cheran fight, just go straight in for battle with him, and he begins with P-Dove. We strike a headbutt and one-shot it. Duot is second, we land a headbutt and leave it on a fraction of its health, but it eats a berry before the sandstorm can end it. It only goes for focus energy and we can take it out with Rock Smash. Panseer is a one-shot with headbutt, while Lipard at the end hits Pursuit, but we end it with Rock Smash for a win. Simple then. Okay then, let's do trivia about Cranidos. It and Rampardos are the only fossil Pokemon to be a single type. It is tied with Rockruff for the lowest base defense stat of all Rock-type Pokemon. Cranidos and Shieldon, generational counterparts, evolve at level 30, the lowest level of any fossil Pokemon to evolve. A lot of Pokédex entries talk about how their skulls are as hard as iron, how the fossil is like an iron ball, and how they down both prey and trees with headbutt. They lived in jungles about 100 million years ago. The Pokemon Sun Pokédex entry states that it used to fight Aerodactyl with headbutts. That's actually pretty impressive, you know, considering Aerodactyl can fly. The Ultra Sun Pokédex states that they lack intelligence, which feels a bit personal. The Legends Arceus Pokédex states that they duel each other by ramming their heads together, and it sounds like a bell when they do. It made a prominent anime appearance in the Diamond and Pearl anime as the signature Pokemon of Roark, just as in the Sinnoh games, before evolving into Rampardos and being used to battle both Ash in their rematch, and later used to battle Byron's Bastiodon. It has only ever had 4 TCG cards made of it, however 2 of them were reprinted as promos. It seems to be based on the, and I know I'm going to butcher this, I think the pronunciation is right because I remember it from The Lost World, and we all know Hollywood never lies to us and gets stuff wrong, Pachycephalosaurus. Its name may be a combination of cranium and dinosaur. In Nimbasa City, we've got to fight N in front of the Ferris wheel before we can move on into the electric gym. He begins with Sandile and at least no Intimidate. We one-shot with Headbutt. We do the same thing to Scraggy out next, and the third Pokemon is Sigilif, who we one-shot with Assurance to take it out. Darumaka is last and Headbutt brings it down to give us the win. The electric gym is very much not as simple though, and it takes a lot of tries. Everything is faster than us, we've not got fantastic special defense to defend against Volt Switch, and there's also the risk of paralysis if we make contact. Rock Tomb doesn't make contact, but it's also not the most accurate of moves. Eventually though, this run happens. She begins with Emolga number 1 and we get outsped and hit with Volt Switch, but the second Emolga is dropped with Rock Tomb. The first Emolga comes back out and hits Volt Switch, but Zeb Striker comes in and is immediately put on red health with our Rock Tomb. She heals Zeb Striker, but we smash a Headbutt into it, prompting her to use her second Hyper Potion. We miss a Rock Tomb before landing it at the second attempt and taking it out with Headbutt, though we do get hit with Flame Charge. Emolga comes back out, and although it probably could have ended us with Volt Switch, she only goes for Pursuit and we duly take it out with a Headbutt. 4 badges down. Outside of town there's a Cheran fight and he seems to think he's going to be a match for me this time. We shall see. He begins with Lipard who hits Pursuit, but we drop it with Headbutt. Duot is second and survives Headbutt before eating the berry, but flinches. Another Headbutt drops it. Pansear is a one-shot with Headbutt, before Tranquil at the end is also a one-shot with Headbutt. So, as we move on, we've got the ground gym ahead, which might be tricky. I'll probably try to teach Headbanger Dig so that we can deal with Excadrill appropriately, since that's likely going to be one problem we can't solve by simply headbutting it until it gives up. Well, we could try, but I don't think it'd go very well. We'd probably faint very quickly. Not too worried about the rest of his team. I don't think his Krokorok has Intimidate in this game, and he has Palpitoad, not Sandslash, so that'll be easier to deal with. There'll be a Bianca fight after that, an End fight after that, and then the Flying Gym. Well, I'd be happier if we could get Rock Slide before the Flying Gym, but I don't believe we can, since I think we need Surf, which we don't get until after beating Cheran after the Skylar fight. On to the battle with Clay then, and like I said, part of me isn't too worried about this. I think he's way harder in the sequel games. He begins with Krokorok and we smash into it with Headbutt, taking it out in one shot. We do the same to Palpitoad, leading with our head to one-shot it, and at the end, the Excadrill is very quickly taken out with Dig. Okay, so that was easier than expected. We've got the Bianca fight straight after, and this is trickier due to being intimidated right at the start. Our attack is decent, well, better than decent, but I don't like surrendering it where I don't have to, but I guess I have to here. Herdia is out first, it survives Headbutt, but only goes to Work Up. We then go for a phase where Bianca drops potion after potion on her Pokemon, and we barely just avoid knocking it out, only to have to start again, but eventually we do bring it down. Pampor goes down to a single Headbutt. Servine is next. I want more power than a regular Headbutt and go for Zen Headbutt, but it misses. We lose nearly half our health and a stage of accuracy to Leaf Tornado before missing another Zen Headbutt, but Servine misses Leech Seed. We hit Zen Headbutt at the third attempt, get the flinch and then drop Servine with a regular Headbutt. Moshana survives Headbutt, misses Hypnosis, and then we take it out with Dig, so that's a relief. That could have gone very badly wrong. I'm moving through Chargestone Cave now, We've got the flying gym upcoming, which shouldn't be too bad. I mean, there is the general inaccuracy of rock moves, but that's something I'll have to deal with throughout. There'll be a Cherren fight after that, followed by the ice gym, which is usually pretty easy. That will be famous last words, I can tell right now. Then there'll be some story stuff for a while, and then the final Bianca fight, which is usually quite rough as I recall. I mean, I remember struggling badly with that in some runs, so I know. Then the Dragon Gym after that, but we are a long way from that yet. There's an end fight at the end of the cave, and this is where we get to see the use of our ability as the fight begins and he starts with Boulder. I immediately call for Bulldoze and one shot because Mold Breaker bypasses Sturdy. We face Ferroseed and two shot with Bulldoze, learning that it also bypasses Iron Barbs. I wonder why it doesn't bypass Static though, because that's definitely happened in this run that we've been paralysed by Static. Clink is a one shot with Bulldoze, and last is Joltik, and we lead with our Headbutt, dropping it in one shot. After training up in the Mistralton Tower, or whatever it's called, I should really know this, I've played this game quite a lot over the last couple of years. I have the battle with Skylar. Fun fact, I recently got my hands on a really cool Skylar card from the TCG. Anyway, we head into battle with her, and I watch as she begins with Swoobat. We watch her use Amnesia, but we one shot with Headbutt. Swanna is second, it survives Headbutt and hits Bubble Beat for pretty big damage to the point that we would get two shots. She heals, but we one shot with Rock Tomb. Unpheasant is last, we get struck with a pair of quick attacks, but we can drop it with two Headbutts. There is a Cherren fight shortly after as we head towards Twist Mountain, and he begins with an Unpheasant of his own. We strike two Headbutts to bring it down, the first one getting a flinch, the second being the decisive blow. Duot survives Headbutt and strikes back with Revenge for decent damage, but another Headbutt takes it down. Lipard hits Fake Out and Assurance in quick succession before we drop it with a Headbutt, and last is Simisear. We duly land the Bulldoze to one-shot it, and we can move on. The Ice Gym is the next major battle, and well, we have the Rock Slide TM now, so I'm ready to inflict some major pain on Bryson and his team. Maybe we get outsped by Cryogonal, but I'm not too worried otherwise. He begins with Vanillish, and we duly smash into it and one shot with Headbutt. Beartic is second, and we one shot with Rock Slide. Cryogonal is last, and we actually do outspeed and break it with Headbutt. Very physically fragile that, 7 badges down. As I'm going through Dragon Spiral Tower, let's talk about what's ongoing with the channel. Still TCG stuff, one a week, but I've got so much backlogged of that, I can't promise it looks anywhere near as professional as other TCG stuff on YouTube. But hey, I'm having fun doing it. I said before, I get that rush for opening packs. Video game stuff. I started uploading 007 Nightfire. I did finish that playthrough. And well, I also did start playing Resident Evil 7. The one main series game I've never finished. Well, until I got this channel, I'd never finished 6 either. Different reasons. 6 is not a good game. 7 is good, it's just incredibly unnerving. Well, I'm going to finish it this time, hopefully. And there is commentary for this too, and a lot of the last few Let's Plays I've done have not had commentary. I mean, I think the last one I did that had commentary was the Simpsons Hit and Run one, so it's good to get back to it. I mean, it's more of a timing thing. I don't always have the ability to record stuff with audio, with commentary, so sometimes that's where the, no commentary came from. Am I shooting myself in the foot? Probably, but it is what it is. Challenge-wise, I've got an interesting one for next time. Remember how I did Spearow and Swablu some time back? I'm going to do an Emerald Challenge next, and it's going to be another tag team run as I set out to see if I can beat that game with a team of Teddy Ursa and Spinder. Could be interesting. As always, any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Check out my Instagram as well, folks, please. After story stuff, there is a Bianca fight, and it does take a few attempts, but eventually we get a run that looks like this. She begins with Stoutland, and it does intimidate us. We go for Focus Energy while it goes to Work Up. We hit Rock Slide, but it survives and goes for another Work Up before we take it out with Headbutt. Superior is faster than us and hits Leaf Blade for nearly half our health, but we get the crucial crit on Rock Slide to one-shot it. It is not a one-shot without a crit, I know that from previous attempts. Simipour is a one-shot with Rock Slide, and Mashana at the end survives Rock Slide, but only goes for Defence Curl. Bianca heals, but we crit a Headbutt to take it down for the count. We have the Dragon Gym next, and I guess I'm ready for him. I'm glad that Drayden doesn't have Flygon in this game like he does in the sequels, because that might be quite bad to deal with. He begins with Fracture, and we one-shot with Headbutt, before Druddigon is second, and we one-shot with Rock Slide. Haxorus is last, and although it is faster, it only goes for Dragon Dance, and we one-shot with Rock Slide to give us the final badge. On the way towards Victory Road, we have the final Cherrim fight before we can enter, as he tests us to see if we're ready for Alder and N. He begins with Unpheasant, and we one-shot with Rock Slide. Samurott is also a one-shot with Rock Slide. Lipard is third. We somehow outspeed and land a Headbutt, but it survives and eats the berry before going for Taunt. We then get outsped and hit with Night Slash before taking it out with another Headbutt. Simisear is last. It outspeeds and uses Leer, but we one-shot with Rock Slide for the victory. As we move through, I might as well do this. I did do a YouTube search to see if anyone else has ever taken on this game with Cranidos. I searched for Pokemon Black, couldn't find it. I did a search for Pokemon White, couldn't find one. I did Black 2 and White 2, ditto. So, it looks very much as if it is the first time that anyone has ever attempted this challenge, so yeah, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a particularly unorthodox challenge. It's not up there with Emerald with Igglybuff, which is going to be my yardstick for why has nobody done this? Oh right, I can figure out why nobody's done this, because it is absolute torture, but hey, it's nice to have a world first. The Elite Four are upcoming. 6 battles for completing the run. I don't think Marshall is going to be an issue as long as we don't get outsped and one-shot, but we should be okay. Maybe Mienshao will be faster, but if we land our Zen Headbutt, not always a guarantee I know, we'll probably fold him like a lawn chair. We don't have to worry about Sturdy on Soak, which is nice. Caitlyn could be somewhat tricky since we are weak special defensively and some of her team is quite bulky, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Grimsley does use dark types, but 3 of them are also dual types we're weak against in Scrafty, Crocodile and Bisharp, so we need to be careful for sure, particularly since Scrafty likes Sand Attack and Crocodile has Intimidate. Chantal could be interesting. Other than Brute Force, we don't have a fantastic way of harming her, so we'll see, I guess. Golurk might be interesting. Everything else, I reckon we can Rock Slide down. I can see N and Getsis being rough though after that. Type variation, status afflictions, high base stat totals, it's going to be interesting. As I stand in the Pokemon League at level 71, here are our stats. Attack is absolutely fantastic. When it's twice what any of our other stats are, you know it's good on the one hand but worrying on the other. We've even got a lot more attack than HP, which is interesting, but hey, we probably knew that going into the run. That speed worries me though. We are going to bump into something faster than us eventually, and what are the chances that thing is a special attacker, because yeah, our special defence is terrifyingly bad. It's nearly 5 times lower than our attack stat, just to put it into perspective. Take your guesses on if I can do it at this level or not. Right now folks, let's do this. I made the brave choice to pick Marshall first. Hey, I thought we stood a chance. This was a choice I made and well, I'll stand by it. Throw is out first and we immediately one-shot with Zen Headbutt. Conkeldurr is also a one-shot with Zen Headbutt. Yet, Mienshao is faster and one-shots us from full health with Jump Kick. Okay, I figure Jump Kick can miss, so I make a few more tries but it doesn't miss, and I decide that I should make some tries on other Elite Four members. I make some tries on Chantal and eventually I get the confluence of events that I require. Cathagrigus can burn us with Will-O-Wisp and we don't want that to happen, but on this run we get the flinch with Rock Slide to stop it. Then we focus energy while she heals, we land another Rock Slide and crit to take it out. Golurk is second, we hit Zen Headbutt but it survives and hits us for massive damage with Earthquake. Chantal heals again. 2 more Zen Headbutts take it out. Jellicent is a one-shot with Rock Slide, but we get afflicted by Cursed Body. Chandelure survives Zen Headbutt, yet flinches, and we can take it out with another Zen Headbutt for the win, which, big relief. I make a try on Caitlyn next, and I'm reasonably confident as long as we can avoid being hit. Special attacks are going to hurt. We face off with Reuniclus and immediately fling a rock slide at it. It survives, but we get the flinch, and while Caitlyn heals, we take Reuniclus out with 2 headbutts. Sigilif is a 2-shot with headbutt, flinching from the first one, which again, bit of a relief. Gothitelle survives rock slide, but flinches, prompting Caitlyn to heal. We then 1-shot with a crit headbutt. Mashana survives rock slide and goes for reflect, but we take it out with headbutt. Okay, that was a seriously fortunate win. Moving on. I make some tries on Grimsley, but it's just a bit too much, and it turns out that we can't 1-shot Scrafty with headbutt, and it likes to use sand attack on us. Crocodile is also faster, it has Intimidate and can really hurt us with Earthquake, so after a few tries I bow out gracefully and go off to train up. Speed is our problem then. I should have figured this would be the case sooner or later, but if we can outspeed Crocodile we might be able to garner some fortune. And of course we're not beating Marshall until we can outspeed Mienshao, which might be sooner than I expect, but it might also be a lot later as well. I mean, I could use the Bright Powder to try and boost Jump Kick's miss chance, but I suppose we are probably going to need the levels somewhere down the line, since I don't think N or Getsis will be particularly pleasant. At level 75 I make some more tries on Grimsley, and though it takes a while, we eventually get a run that looks like this. In this run, he begins with Scrafty, we hit a headbutt and get the crit which 1-shots it, so that is great. Crocodile is second, we hit a headbutt and we get a flinch, which even better, and we can take it out with a second headbutt. Bisharp is hit with headbutt and we get a flinch before we take it down with Rock Smash. I learned in a previous attempt, Rock Smash isn't a 1-shot and its ability makes a defense drop fatal. Lipard is last, it hits Fake Out and Attract before we do massive damage with Rock Smash. Grimsley heals it twice, we lose a few turns to Attract, we get hit with some Night Slashers before eventually we can land the fatal blow with Rock Smash to take it down. I go back to facing off with Marshall, and this time we happen to have hit the level of 77. Fro and Conkelda at the start still aren't problems, though we miss a Zen headbutt on Conkelda and get smashed with Hammer Arm. We are faster than Mienshao, we drop it with Zen headbutt and we do the same to Sork at the end of the fight and take it out in 1 shot, so it turned out not too bad. There's a lot of cutscenes before we make it to the next fight, before we have to face off with N for the final time. The reason the first effort of this fight is annoying is because we have to waste time waiting for Zekrom to knock Reshiram out, since the game forces us to use it. I just throw Pokeballs at Zekrom while it clatters us with moves. We eventually get cleaned out with a Giga Impact and I can send Headbanger in. We immediately strike a Bulldoze to hurt Zekrom badly, forcing N to heal before we use Headbutt and another Bulldoze to bring it down for the count. Kling Klang is next, but it outspeeds and uses Night Slash before surviving Bulldoze, so yeah, it's Zoroark. We take it out with Headbutt. Caracosta is next, it survives Rock Slide on Red Health, then hits Waterfall and Aqua Jet in quick succession to take us out. I make some more efforts at this level, but they don't go any sort of better as we just get messed up by his team, so I retreat to train up. I make more tries on N at level 83, but to little avail. We just have so much trouble with Caracosta, especially since we don't do enough damage to be able to one-hit it. I mean, at least at level 83 we can outspeed Zoroark and Zekrom. We could at least one-hit Caracosta if the need arose and we did enough damage, but that priority Aqua Jet is an issue if it survives. And guess what? Even when we do get to the last battle of the fight, we're not fast enough to outspeed Archeops and get taken out with Stone Edge. Eventually, after more training and more tries, I hit on an idea at level 85. Rather than using Bulldoze, I put the more powerful Dig onto our moveset, and this time when we fight N, we use it with a vengeance. At the start, Zekrom is a one-shot with Dig. We avoid taking damage from Fusion Bolt 2, which is very nice. Zoroark is a one-shot with Headbutt, and then so is Caracosta, who we one-shot with Dig. Vanillux is a one-shot with Rock Slide. Clink Clank is also a one-shot with Dig, and that puts us into the fight with Archeops, but we are at full health. Stone Edge does nearly 100 points of damage, but we land the Rock Slide and drop it. There is the Getsis fight after that, and well, the brutality of it all is that we can potentially have so much trouble with Cofagrigus at the start thanks to Toxic. I lose a few efforts, one of them when I realise Seismitoad is going to be an issue, and then I rejig the moveset. At level 88 I make a try, and in this effort we one-shot Cofagrigus with a single Rock Slide, which, massive relief. Then comes Hydreigon. We get outsped, but Hydreigon misses Focus Blast, only for us to then miss Rock Slide. It then connects with Focus Blast to leave us on 2 HP, but we one-shot with Rock Slide. Bouffalont is third and we one-shot with Rock Slide. Seismitoad is fourth and we one-shot with Return. Bisharp is fifth, but we one-shot with Bulldoze. Last is Electros, but we one-shot with Bulldoze. Levitate, be forgotten, thanks to our ability. It's the reason I didn't want to touch Cofagrigus if I could help it, thanks to its mummy ability. Anyway, with that, we've beaten the run and we can watch the credits roll. Well, that was enjoyable. I do like Cranidos, I think it's a neat design as a fossil Pokemon, but all good things must come to an end. Maybe I'll use it again one day. Thanks for watching, I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, call out with a comment, and smash that subscribe button. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as I see if I can beat Pokemon Emerald with a team of Teddiursa and Spinder. That sure has potential to be interesting. As always, any ideas for future challenges, let me know. Head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to Twitter, Discord, all that sort of stuff. Join me again next time, folks. I'm going to jump off here. I'll see you then. Bye bye, so long, farewell, ta-ra.